The Earth was on the verge of destruction. The once proud human military was crumbling under the relentless attack of an alien empire. The invaders were technologically superior, with fleets of AI-controlled warships and powerful robots. These alien forces had come from the stars, and their weapons were unlike anything humanity had ever faced before. What had started as a small skirmish had turned into an all-out war, and now Earth was losing. In the heart of the battle, Commander Alex stood on the bridge of the last remaining human flagship. His eyes scanned the endless expanse of space outside the viewport, but what he saw was nothing short of horrifying. Alien warships, sleek and menacing, filled the sky. Their weapons fired relentlessly, tearing through Earth's defenses. Earth's fleet had already suffered heavy losses, and there seemed to be no way to turn the tide. The human forces were outmatched, outgunned, and outclassed. Yet they fought on, with everything they had. But Commander Alex could see the inevitable. His soldiers were brave, but their strength alone wasn't enough to overcome the sheer technological superiority of the alien invaders. One by one, human warships were destroyed, their shattered wrecks drifting into the vast emptiness of space. The once proud fleets of humanity were nothing more than targets for the alien onslaught. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was tense. Officers moved quickly, issuing orders, trying to repair what little they could. But it was clear, this was a losing battle. As the alien ships closed in on Earth's last stronghold, Commander Alex knew it wouldn't be long before the enemy breached their final defenses. He looked around the room at his crew, each one of them fighting for their lives, their planet, their future. But their faces showed nothing but exhaustion and fear. They were holding on, but for how much longer? Alex straightened up, his eyes filled with determination. He had led his people through countless battles before, but this was different. They were out of options. As the enemy continued to advance, he stepped forward, gathering the few remaining officers. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of years of battle. "We don't stop," he said firmly. "We fight until we have no breath left in us. I won't let Earth fall, not while there's still a chance. We may be outmatched, but we are not defeated." The words were a rallying cry, but deep down, Alex knew the truth. This was their final stand. The enemy would come for them, and soon Earth would fall. But he refused to give up without a fight. He watched as his crew nodded, steeling themselves for what was to come. They all knew the stakes. If they lost, humanity was done for. Just as he was about to give the order to make their final stand, something unusual happened. One of the engineers, Lieutenant Harper, rushed into the command center, holding an old dusty map. She was breathing heavily, her face flushed with excitement. "Commander," she exclaimed, holding up the map. "I think I found something. Something that could help us turn this around." Alex turned to look at her, surprised. "What is it?" Harper quickly unrolled the map on the table. "It's an ancient star map," she said, her voice shaking. "It was hidden in the archives, tucked away and forgotten for centuries. But it points to something. A fleet of warships built by our ancestors. They were lost long ago, but if the map is right, they're still out there." The room fell silent as the significance of her words sank in. An ancient fleet, hidden away for centuries. Could this be the breakthrough they have been praying for? Commander Alex's heart raced with a spark of hope that had long been absent from his chest. If these ships still exist, Alex said slowly, they could turn the tide of this war. Harper nodded. "I believe so, Commander. But the map is incomplete. It's going to be dangerous. The location isn't clear, and it's in uncharted space. We have no idea what we'll find out there." The room grew quiet as the officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had all seen the destruction that the alien forces were capable of, but they were running out of options. Earth's fate rested on the edge of a knife, and this ancient fleet might be their only chance. Alex turned to face his crew, his eyes filled with determination. "We don't have the luxury of time. If this fleet is real, It's our only shot at survival. We're going after it." Harper looked hesitant, but nodded. "Yes, sir. I'll prepare the coordinates." Just as the command was about to be issued, alarms blared throughout the ship. A new wave of alien ships was approaching fast. The enemy was closing in on Earth's final stronghold, and they weren't stopping. "We'll need to move quickly," Alex said urgently, his voice now commanding the crew's full attention. "Prepare to launch. We leave now, or it's over." As the crew scrambled to execute the order, Alex stared out the viewport one last time, his mind racing. Would this ancient fleet really exist? Could this hidden treasure be the salvation Earth so desperately needed? Or would it be a fool's hope, leading them into a trap where they'd be destroyed, just as they had been on every battlefield before? The uncertainty hung in the air as Commander Alex gave the final command to set course for the unknown. The fate of Earth and the human race now rested on the shoulders of an ancient fleet, a fleet that had been lost to history. The last few seconds before they jumped into warp space were agonizing. The crew was tense, prepared for anything. Alex stood at the helm, watching the stars outside blur into streaks of light as they activated the jump drive. As they disappeared into the unknown, one question loomed in everyone's mind. Would this discovery save humanity, or would it lead them to their doom? The tension in the cockpit was unbearable as Commander Alex and his team of soldiers ventured deeper into the uncharted region of space. The map they had uncovered was old, and its coordinates pointed to a distant, treacherous part of the galaxy that no human had ventured to in centuries. They were headed straight into the unknown, a region of space where danger lurked at every corner. But they had no choice. The alien empire, relentless in their pursuit, was hot on their trail. As they ventured into the dark expanse, the team deployed their cloaking devices, trying to keep their presence hidden from the alien surveillance drones. The cloaks were imperfect, and the risk of detection was high. Every time a drone passed by, the crew held their breath, praying that the faint hum of their ship's cloaking system would go unnoticed. Alex stared at the screen, watching as the alien drones buzzed nearby. They had been following the human fleet for hours now, their eerie, mechanical eyes scanning every corner of space. The slightest mistake could expose them, and their mission would be over before it even began. They couldn't afford to be caught. Just as the tension seemed unbearable, one of the alien drones broke off and headed straight for their position. "Hold steady," Alex ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. His eyes were locked on the monitor, every muscle in his body tense with anticipation. They had to stay hidden. They couldn't let this drone detect them. The seconds dragged on like hours as the drone passed within a few hundred meters of their ship. The sound of the drone's engine was deafening, and the ship's crew stayed absolutely still. Sweat beaded on Alex's forehead. He could almost feel the enemy's gaze, and his heart raced with the fear of being discovered. And then, as if by a miracle, the drone turned away, continuing its patrol. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the ship. That was too close, Bonner, one of Alex's closest friends and most trusted soldiers, muttered, wiping the sweat from his brow. Bonner had been with Alex through every battle, and their bond had been forged in the fires of war. But this time, even Bonner knew the stakes were higher than ever. "We can't keep running forever," Alex said, his voice filled with a quiet determination. "We've got one shot at this, and we're not going to waste it." With the immediate threat gone, they pressed on, but the tension in the crew didn't ease. Every second they spent in this unknown region felt like a lifetime. They had no idea what dangers lay ahead. Were the coordinates they followed accurate, or had they been led into a trap? No one knew for sure, but the hope of finding the ancient fleet kept them going. The silence of space enveloped them, broken only by the occasional hum of their ship's engines. As they approached the asteroid belt where the fleet was supposed to be hidden, the crew's nerves were on edge. The massive rocks floating in space created a labyrinth of twists and turns, and it was easy to get lost in the vastness of it all. "We're close," Alex muttered. staring at the readout. His fingers tapped nervously on the console as they maneuvered through the dense field of asteroids. The map was old, but it had to be right. It had to be. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. "They found us," Bonner shouted. He was manning the rear sensors, and the readings were clear. Alien warships were closing in fast. Their cloaking device had kept them safe so far, but the alien empire's technology was too advanced. Their enemies had tracked them down, and now there was no escape. "Get us out of here," Alex shouted. "We need to get to the fleet now." But the alien ships were fast, and they were closing in with terrifying speed. The crew could hear the whine of energy weapons charging up on the alien ships. They didn't have much time left. Bonner was the first to act. He sprinted toward the back of the ship, preparing the emergency decoy system. "I'll create a diversion," he said with a determined look in his eyes. "Get ready to jump to the fleet location." "No, Bonner, we need you here," Alex shouted, but it was too late. Bonner had already activated the decoy, and as the alien ships began to fire on the decoy, the human fleet made its move. The enemy's firepower rained down on the decoy, and for a brief moment, the human ships had a window of escape. "Go, go, go," Alex commanded. The engines roared to life, and they shot forward, pushing their ship as fast as it could go. But as they neared the location on the map, disaster struck. A blast from an alien ship hit the rear of the vessel, and the force sent the ship into a violent spin. The crew struggled to regain control, but the damage was done. They had lost power to their shields, and the hull was breached. The ship was falling apart. Amidst the chaos, Alex's heart sank as he realized that Bonner had sacrificed himself. Bonner, the man who had stood by him through thick and thin, was gone. "No," Alex shouted. His hands clenched into fists, but there was no time for grief. His crew needed him. The mission still had to succeed, no matter the cost. The crew fought to keep the ship together, using all their strength to hold on to the mission. They couldn't afford to stop now. Bonner's sacrifice would not be in vain. After what felt like an eternity, they finally reached the coordinates. The asteroid belt opened up, revealing a massive structure unlike anything they had ever seen. It was hidden deep inside the belt, camouflaged by the sheer size of the asteroid surrounding it. The ancient warships lay dormant, their massive forms partially obscured by centuries of neglect, but they were still intact. The sight of the fleet, once thought lost forever, filled the crew with a sense of awe and wonder. These ships, built by humanity's ancestors, were far beyond anything they had ever imagined. This was their salvation. But as Alex gazed at the dormant fleet, he knew that their fight was far from over. The alien forces were still closing in, and they would stop at nothing to destroy what humanity had left. But now, with these ancient ships, they had a fighting chance. The crew, shaken by the loss of Bonner, but filled with renewed hope, began to prepare the ships for battle. They would honor his sacrifice by fighting with everything they had. The war was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, humanity had a chance to win. The silence in the cockpit was deafening as Alex and his team stood in front of the massive fleet, hidden deep within the asteroid belt. The dormant warships were ancient, their hulls covered in layers of space debris, but their potential was undeniable. Alex's heart raced as he looked at the starships before him. They were humanity's last hope. He gave the order, and the team began the long, delicate process of reactivating the fleet. They knew they were working against the clock. Alien ships were still closing in fast, and they couldn't afford to waste any more time. Each ship was a relic from Earth's forgotten past, and the technology within them was old, but it was powerful. The team worked with precision, opening up control panels and linking the ancient systems to the makeshift power sources they had brought. The whir of machinery filled the air as the first signs of life emerged from the fleet. The once still energy cores began to glow, their lights flickering on like a heartbeat. The colossal ships were awakening from their centuries-long slumber, slowly but surely. Alex stood on the bridge of one of the ships, watching in awe as the ancient vessel came to life. The AI systems hummed to life, their screens flickering with old codes that seemed almost unreadable. But even in their primitive form, the AI was powerful. The systems slowly calibrated, bringing the ship's weapons online, starting with the massive energy cannons mounted on the hull. Each ship was a titan, a war machine capable of turning the tide of battle. But they needed time, and time was something they didn't have. The alien forces were just moments away from launching their final strike. Alex turned to his crew. "We need to move faster," he said, his voice tight with urgency. "Get these ships ready for combat now. We don't have much time." As the team scrambled to reactivate the fleet, Alex's mind raced back to the moment they had lost Bonner. His friend's sacrifice weighed heavily on him. Bonner had given his life to ensure the mission succeeded, and Alex knew they couldn't fail. The thought of Bonner's bravery drove him forward, giving him strength even as the odds seemed insurmountable. With the weapons online and the energy cores powering up, Alex's team prepared for the inevitable attack. They hadn't even finished activating half of the fleet, but the alien ships had already arrived. There was no time to waste. The first wave of alien drones appeared on the horizon, and Alex watched as their sleek forms darted toward them like predators closing in on their prey. "Prepare for battle," Alex barked. "Activate the defense systems on the other ships as well." The battle had begun. The first drone strike came fast, the alien ships unleashing devastating firepower. Energy blasts crackled through the vacuum of space, slamming into the ancient warships with thunderous force. The massive ships groaned under the impact, their hulls absorbing the blasts as their weapons systems powered up. The AI-controlled turrets sprang to life, locking onto the alien targets. With a single order, Alex unleashed the fleet's retaliatory strike. The ancient warships fired their energy cannons, sending beams of concentrated energy toward the alien drones. The blasts hit with deadly precision, disintegrating the alien ships in a brilliant flash of light. It was a testament to the raw power of humanity's forgotten war machines. But the alien forces weren't done. More ships arrived, overwhelming the human team's defenses. The ancient fleet had awoken, but they were far from ready. The ships groaned under the pressure, their systems struggling to adapt to the modern combat. The aliens had the advantage of superior technology, and Alex knew they couldn't hold out forever. As more alien ships descended upon them, Alex gritted his teeth and stared out into the void. He wasn't going to let humanity fall, not after everything they had been through. His team worked frantically, activating more ships and boosting the fleet's firepower, but the aliens just kept coming. "Push forward," Alex shouted, his voice filled with unrelenting determination. "Don't stop. We fight for humanity's future." The team followed his lead, working together to hold off the alien onslaught. The ancient ships, though battered and old, fought like they had never stopped. They fired relentlessly, striking down alien ships one by one. But despite their best efforts, the alien forces were too numerous. The battle seemed endless. In the midst of the chaos, Alex thought back to Bonner. His face appeared in his mind, his last words, his sacrifice. The memory of his friend's bravery fueled Alex's determination, and he knew they couldn't lose now. But just as they were beginning to feel the pressure, a sudden shift occurred. The AI systems, still adjusting to the modern combat tactics, began to learn from the battle. They adapted, using the ship's weapons in ways that no one could have predicted. The energy cannons unleashed a barrage of fire, decimating the alien fleet. For the first time in the battle, the humans gained an upper hand. "We're doing it," one of the crew members shouted, barely believing their own eyes as the alien ships began to retreat. The alien forces, taken aback by the unexpected resistance, regrouped for another strike. But the humans weren't done yet. The ancient fleet had finally begun to show its true power, and Alex knew this was only the beginning of the war. They had taken a step forward, but there was still a long road ahead. The team managed to repel the aliens for the moment, but the victory was bittersweet. They had won a battle, but the war was far from over. The alien forces would return, stronger than ever, and humanity had no choice but to prepare for what was coming next. Alex stood on the bridge of one of the ancient ships, staring out into the void. His heart still heavy with the loss of Bonner, but filled with a new sense of purpose. The battle wasn't over. Humanity's fight for survival had only just begun. The space around Earth had never felt so empty, and yet so full of tension. The quiet void of space was shattered by the roar of massive warships as Earth's ancient fleet joined the fray. Alex stood on the bridge, his eyes glued to the view in front of him. The alien forces, which had once seemed unstoppable, were now faced with a terrifying force they had never expected. Earth's lost fleet, now fully awakened. The battle had already begun. The alien invaders, confident in their superior technology, thought they had the upper hand. Their fleets, filled with sleek, advanced ships, buzzed around like deadly wasps. They were led by massive alien dreadnoughts, ships that towered over anything humanity had ever built. The enemy's arsenal of highly advanced robots and AI-controlled fighters filled the space around them. These machines were fast, intelligent, and ruthless, making them nearly impossible to defeat. But the alien forces had made one fatal mistake. They underestimated Earth. Commander Alex gave the signal. The ancient warships, once dormant for centuries, began to move with terrifying power. The massive vessels, equipped with weapons and technology far beyond anything the aliens had encountered, fired their first volleys. Huge beams of energy shot across space, slamming into the alien ships with deadly force. The aliens were caught off guard, their ships exploding in brilliant bursts of light as the human fleet's futuristic weapons tore through their defenses. The space battle exploded into a chaotic frenzy. Massive explosions rocked the vast emptiness of space, sending debris scattering in every direction. The once confident alien forces found themselves caught in a war they were ill-prepared for. For the first time, they were on the back foot. The AI-controlled robots and drones that had been sent to dominate the battlefield now had to face Earth's own robotic forces. Earth's ancient fleet, though old, had been designed with advanced countermeasures, EMP weapons, energy shields, and advanced robotic systems that quickly turned the tide. The alien robots, which had once been unstoppable, began to fall apart as their systems were overwhelmed by the EMP pulses. Explosions erupted from within the alien machines, disabling them one after another. As the battle raged on, Alex watched his fleet move in sync, like a well-oiled machine. The old Earth tactics were still fresh in his mind. He had studied history, learned about the great battles of the past. Using strategies from Earth's own military history, Alex led his forces into close-quarters combat, something the alien fleets hadn't expected. The ancient warships closed in on the alien dreadnoughts, unleashing a deadly barrage of laser fire and missile strikes. The alien ships, with their advanced technology, had no defense against this tactic. A massive alien dreadnought loomed ahead, its immense size dwarfing even the largest of Earth's warships. But Alex wasn't intimidated. His fleet surrounded the dreadnought, cutting off its escape routes. The alien ship retaliated with powerful energy blasts, but Earth's fleet was ready. The ancient warship's shields held strong, absorbing the impacts while returning fire with even greater force. The alien dreadnought, with its advanced armor, began to show signs of vulnerability as Earth's weapons tore into its hull. Then, with a single command, Alex ordered the final strike. The fleet's most powerful weapon, a massive energy cannon, was aimed directly at the alien mothership. With a deafening roar, the weapon fired, unleashing a torrent of energy that struck the heart of the alien ship. The alien mothership shuddered, its systems failing as the energy from the cannon overwhelmed its shields. The ship exploded in a brilliant display of light, its massive form breaking apart in the vacuum of space. The destruction of the mothership was a critical blow to the alien fleet, but it was far from the end. More alien ships were closing in, and the battle was far from won. But for the first time, the alien invaders were beginning to realize they weren't facing just any human force. They were up against an army of ancient, battle-tested warships, equipped with weapons and technologies that no one had expected. The action continued to escalate. The battle between the ancient fleet and the alien invaders became more intense with each passing moment. Ships collided in space, exchanging devastating fire. EMP blasts rang out, disabling enemy drones, while Earth's robotic fighters engaged the alien machines in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The space between the two fleets was filled with debris, fire, and chaos as the battle reached its peak. But Commander Alex knew that this was just one victory. The alien forces had suffered a huge blow, but their numbers were still overwhelming. They would regroup, and the war would continue. But for now, Earth had made its mark. Humanity had shown that, even when pushed to the edge of extinction, they would never give up. They would fight back with everything they had. Alex stood firm as the battle raged on, knowing that this moment, this victory, was the turning point. Earth's ancient fleet had entered the fight, and now the aliens would have to face the full might of humanity. The space around them was filled with fire and destruction, but Alex was resolute. The war was far from over, but humanity had finally shown that they could win. The tide of the battle had begun to shift. For the first time, the alien invaders were on the defensive. The massive warships of Earth's ancient fleet were proving to be a formidable force, throwing the technologically superior aliens off balance. Yet, just when humanity thought they had the upper hand, the true might of the alien empire revealed itself. A chilling message came through Alex's comms, breaking the silence that had settled over the battlefield. "This is the end." The alien leader's voice boomed through the ship's speakers. A massive shadow loomed overhead. It was the alien flagship, an eye-controlled Titan, built with technology far beyond anything Earth had ever seen. This flagship was more than just a warship. It was a symbol of the Empire's superiority, and it was about to show its power. As the alien flagship loomed closer, Earth's fleet regrouped, preparing for what could be their final stand. The tension was unbearable. The ancient fleet had already proven itself powerful, but this new threat was something else entirely. The flagship's weapons systems were like nothing the humans had ever faced. Its energy beams were capable of obliterating entire warships in seconds, and its robotic fighters moved with deadly precision. It was a one-ship army. Commander Alex stared at the massive ship on his screen. "We're not done yet," he muttered under his breath. "We can still win." But as Earth's fleet moved to engage, they were quickly overwhelmed. The alien flagship unleashed its devastating weapons, sending energy blasts across the battlefield. Earth's ships tried to fight back, but the alien ship's defenses were too powerful. One by one, human warships were torn apart, their hulls melting under the flagship's intense firepower. The stakes had never been higher. Earth's forces, once gaining momentum, were now in full retreat. It felt as though all hope was lost. Alex clenched his fists in frustration. He had led his crew through countless battles, but this was a force unlike anything they had faced before. In the chaos, Lieutenant Sarah, one of Alex's most trusted officers, volunteered for a suicide mission. She and a small group of soldiers would infiltrate the alien flagship, aiming to disable its weapons systems and give Earth's fleet a fighting chance. It was a desperate move, but Sarah was determined. She knew the stakes. She knew that this might be her last mission. As Sarah's team made their way toward the enemy flagship, the tension was palpable. Their cloaked ships navigated the perilous space, moving as silently as possible, knowing that one wrong move would be their end. They reached the flagship's perimeter and began their final assault. The alien defenses were brutal, but they fought their way in. Sarah led the charge, her focus unwavering, as the enemy forces tried to stop them at every turn. In the midst of the battle, Sarah was struck. She fell, blood seeping through her uniform, as she looked up at Alex, her breathing shallow. "You have to win this," she gasped, her voice barely audible over the comms. "You have to lead them to victory." Her last words echoed in Alex's mind. He fought back the tears, vowing to honor her sacrifice. The battle was not over, but Sarah's death spurred him into action. With her words fueling his resolve, he rallied the fleet and prepared for a final, all-out push against the alien flagship. As Alex and his team moved into position, something unexpected happened. A faint hum echoed through the ship's systems. It was coming from the ancient AI that had been dormant for centuries. The AI, once a mere relic of a bygone era, was waking up, responding to Alex's command. The connection between Alex and the AI was instantaneous, almost as if it had been waiting for this moment. The ship's systems began to synchronize with Alex's leadership, and the entire fleet seemed to come alive. The dormant warships of Earth's fleet began to move with a newfound purpose, their weapon systems coming online with brutal precision. In an unexpected twist, the AI's ancient systems bonded with Alex's leadership, creating an unstoppable synergy. The ancient warships, which had once been considered outdated, now possessed an unearthly power, working in perfect harmony with their commander. The fleet, empowered by this newfound connection, launched a devastating counterattack against the alien flagship. The battle that followed was a spectacle of energy beams, missiles, and close-quarters combat. The alien flagship, once thought invincible, was now being battered from all sides. Earth's fleet moved with precision, using the AI's knowledge to exploit the flagship's weaknesses. The ancient warships, guided by Alex's commands, tore into the alien ship's defenses, hitting vital points with deadly accuracy. The flagship's shields were no match for the relentless assault. Its weapons systems, once feared across the galaxy, began to falter. The tide of the battle shifted once again. The alien forces, seeing their flagship fall, began to retreat. The once overwhelming enemy was now on the run, and the humans had emerged victorious. But even as the alien flagship was destroyed in a spectacular explosion, Alex knew that the war was far from over. The alien empire was vast, and they would not give up easily. But for now, humanity had won a major victory. Alex took a deep breath, looking at the wreckage of the alien flagship, and then turned his gaze to the stars. Earth had shown that, even in the darkest of times, they would rise. No matter the odds, humanity would fight back, and they would never surrender. The war had taken a terrible toll, but it had also revealed the strength of Earth's resolve. Commander Alex and his fleet had faced impossible odds and come out on top, proving that even in the face of overwhelming power, the human spirit could still triumph. The battle that followed was nothing short of legendary. The once distant, uncharted battlefield had now become the arena for humanity's greatest fight. The alien empire had brought its full wrath upon Earth, using its unmatched technology to try and crush the human resistance. But the ancient fleet, long thought to be a forgotten relic, had turned the tide of the war, and Earth's forces were ready to give their all in one final decisive battle. The alien flagship loomed like a dark, foreboding shadow above the battlefield. It was the heart of the alien fleet, a colossal warship with advanced AI systems and weaponry that had previously seemed unbeatable. But now, humanity's ancient fleet was armed with everything they had, from cloaking devices to powerful hidden weapons, and they were ready to bring the fight to the alien invaders. Commander Alex stood at the helm of the flagship of Earth's fleet, his heart pounding in his chest as the countdown to the final battle began. The loss of Bonner and Sarah weighed heavily on him, their sacrifices forever etched in his mind. But he could not afford to mourn now. The fate of humanity rested on the outcome of this battle. There was no turning back. "Prepare the fleet," Alex ordered. "We hit them hard, and we hit them fast. No mercy." The final charge began. Earth's fleet powered forward, cloaked ships slipping silently through space, appearing out of nowhere to strike the alien warships. Each ship fired its weapons with precision, using every ounce of energy they had left to breach the alien flagship's defenses. The alien ships retaliated fiercely, launching waves of laser beams and missiles at the human fleet. It was an all-out assault, with the fate of Earth hanging in the balance. The alien flagship fired its devastating energy weapons, but Earth's fleet was ready. They used every trick in the book: cloaking devices, evasive maneuvers, and countermeasures to avoid the worst of the attacks. It was a desperate battle of attrition, with both sides fighting to the bitter end. The space around them exploded with bright flashes of light as ships collided in epic combat. Missiles streaked across the sky, detonating in brilliant bursts of light, while energy blasts tore through the void, leaving trails of destruction in their wake. The ancient warships of Earth fought with the strength of 1,000 suns, and their AI systems worked in perfect harmony with Alex's commands. It was as if the fleet had been waiting for this moment for centuries. But the alien flagship was relentless. Its shields were strong, and its weapons were devastating. The human fleet began to suffer heavy losses, and it seemed as though the aliens might still pull ahead. Alex gritted his teeth. He could see the damage on his own ship, and he knew that their time was running out. But then, in the chaos of the battle, he saw a glimmer of hope. In a last-ditch effort, the fleet launched a coordinated attack on the alien flagship's weak spots, using the Ancient Eye's knowledge of the ship's systems. It was a risky maneuver, one that could either save humanity or doom them all. Alex's heart raced as he watched the attack unfold. The alien flagship's shields faltered, and for the first time in the battle, it seemed as though the tide might be turning in humanity's favor. A massive explosion rocked the flagship as Earth's forces unleashed their final devastating blow. The alien flagship's core exploded in a burst of energy so intense that it illuminated the battlefield like a second sun. The shockwave rippled through space, sending alien ships scattering in every direction. Earth's fleet had done it. They had destroyed the flagship. The alien forces, thrown into disarray by the loss of their command ship, began to retreat. Their once formidable fleet was now a disorganized mess, and they had no choice but to flee. The human resistance had won. Earth's ancient fleet, once a forgotten relic of the past, had proven itself to be the key to victory. But for Commander Alex, the battle was not over. As the alien fleet fled, he couldn't help but think of the comrades who had fallen in battle. Bonner, Sarah, and all the other brave men and women who had sacrificed their lives for this moment. They would not be forgotten. Earth's victory was as much theirs as it was his. The fleet regrouped, and Earth's forces began to clean up the remnants of the alien invasion. The battlefields were littered with debris from the destroyed alien ships, and the silence that followed was almost deafening. Alex stood on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the debris field. He could almost hear the voices of his fallen crew members in his mind, urging him forward. As Earth's fleet returned to their home planet, they were met with a hero's welcome. The war had taken its toll, but humanity had emerged victorious. The ancient fleet, which had once been nothing more than a forgotten relic, was now the symbol of Earth's resilience and determination. It had saved humanity from certain extinction. In the weeks that followed, Earth began the long process of rebuilding. Cities that had once been destroyed were now being restored, and life slowly returned to normal. But the scars of the war would never fade. The memories of the battle, of the sacrifices made, would stay with humanity forever. Alex stood in front of a memorial, his thoughts turning to the brave souls who had given everything for this victory. He placed a hand on the cold stone, feeling the weight of their loss. Bonner's name was etched into the monument, as was Sarah's. These were not just names. They were heroes, and their legacy would live on for generations to come. The fleet, now a vital part of Earth's future, stood ready to defend against any new threats. The galaxy had seen humanity at its worst, but it had also seen what humanity was capable of when pushed to the brink. The war was over, but Earth's place in the galaxy had forever changed. Humanity had proven that it could stand up to the might of the alien empire and come out on top. And as Alex looked out over the rebuilt cities, he knew that no matter what the future held, Earth would never back down. The fight for survival had forged them into something stronger, something unstoppable. As Earth prepared for whatever challenges the future might bring, Alex stood proud, knowing that humanity had triumphed and that their resilience would be the key to their survival in the galaxy for years to come.